GoForThe2.com, it's back. College football is here, and I can't wait to strap it up. I'm going to get into my Week 1 predictions in a little bit. A quick note, this Friday, August 30th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on my weekly radio show, blogtalkradio.com, the NCAA Weekly Blitz Show. My guest will be former Georgia Bulldog wide receiver Corey Allen. You remember his catch in 1996 to tie the game against Auburn in the first SEC overtime game. Me and Corey Allen going to talk college football, going to talk about his experiences at the University of Georgia. So you have to tune in this Friday, August 30th at 2:30 p.m. blogtalkradio.com. The search is the NCAA Weekly Blitz Show. Me and Corey Allen live for about 30 minutes talking college football, so stay with us. Let's get into the Week 1 predictions. Thursday night, I like two games. North Carolina, South Carolina. South Carolina won 13 straight season openers. I think they get challenged by an upstart, young North Carolina team led by quarterback Bryn Renner. I think they're able to move the football on the South Carolina defense. The tight ends, Ebron for North Carolina, he's a big guy, 6'4", goes about 246 pounds. He can create mismatches against a smallish, inexperienced South Carolina linebacking group. Look for North Carolina to challenge the Gamecocks throughout the game. I think it's a very close game. In the end, though, I think South Carolina prevails by a field goal. South Carolina and Connor Shaw pick up a hard-fought 24-21 victory over North Carolina and Bryn Renner. Minnesota, they facing UNLV. It's a rematch of last year. Minnesota won 30-27 in triple overtime in the desert. However, they outgained the UNLV Rebels by 203 yards. They didn't capitalize on key turnovers. I think this season, though, at home with a very big offensive line, each member goes over 300. I look for Minnesota to wear down the smallish linebackers for UNLV. Each member goes about 200, 215, 210. They're fast, but I think the Big Ten offensive line gets at them in this ball game, and they have a very good running back in junior Donnell Kirkwood for the Gophers. He's a stud. He's 5'10", about 225 pounds. Only carried the ball last year in the game 13 times for 81 yards. I think Jerry Kill gives him the rock about 30 times in this ball game, and I look for Minnesota to dominate 42-14 at home. When you look at Minnesota's schedule, they have an opportunity if they get through UNLV to be 5-0. When you look at their schedule, UNLV does have a 22-game road losing streak. That's a tough task. They do get a lot of starters back, but I think Minnesota is the better team entering Week 1 of the season. I look for a dominating Gopher win this Thursday night. Saturday, let's talk about the big games. We'll go right down. Virginia Tech and Alabama. Alabama loses their three big offensive linemen, Barrett Jones, the center, DJ Fluker, and Chance Warmack. A.J. McCarron could go down in history, in my opinion, as one of the greatest quarterbacks. If he can win the national championship back to back to back, you have to start saying A.J. McCarron is a great quarterback. Last season, 30 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. I think, though, when you look at Alabama's line last season with those studs on the offensive line, they still gave up 23 sacks on the season. It might take them a while to gel into this ball game. I think Virginia Tech, they have some problems at the running back position. Michael Holmes, he left. His backups are injured, so a lot of inexperience at the running back position for Virginia Tech. Very erratic at the quarterback position with Logan Thomas. He makes some poor decisions. However, when you look at the offense, I think they play a methodical game against Alabama. They try to get into a low-scoring game, and I think if anybody can get into an ugly game with Alabama, it's Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech plays a sloppy game with Alabama. Alabama, though, does prevail 24-14. A keynote for Virginia Tech as well. The cornerback Exum's out. I know that. I still think Virginia Tech plays an ugly style ball game with Alabama, keeps it close, but in the end, the experience of the Alabama Crimson Tide pulls away with the victory. When you look at Alabama's schedule, they take an off week after this weekend with Virginia Tech, off week, and then they face Johnny Football and the A&M Aggies September 14th, so keep an eye out for that. Let's talk about LSU TCU. Everybody thinks LSU going to dominate this ball game. I know they have a 41-game winning streak in terms of opening up non-conference games. I understand that. However, key loss at the offensive line position in Williford. He's a mainstay of that offense. He's out. He's out for the year. I think that's going to affect the LSU offense. Whether Hill plays or not, I don't think it matters. I think a bigger loss is Williford. When you look at the defense for LSU, no Kevin Minter, no Eric Reed, no Barkevius Mingo, and no Sam Montgomery. I know Ego Ferguson and Anthony Johnson are loads in the middle. I just think that TCU is a blue-collar team. I'm not saying they win, but I think they challenge LSU throughout the ball game. I think LSU wins, but it isn't going to be by much. LSU picks up a 21-20 victory in Dallas against TCU. Gary Patterson, very underrated blue-collar coach. His teams are disciplined. They play the same type of style that LSU is used to playing, like with Les Miles. Run the football, rely on your defense. So I think that both teams match up very well. They have a very good player in the secondary, TCU does, in Everett. So keep an eye out for that. Mettenberger starting with a brand new offensive coordinator again in Cam Cameron. So keep that in mind. How does LSU's defense play? Are they aggressive or are they sitting back playing zone? I'm curious to see, but I think it's a very close ball game, a lot closer than people think. And I think LSU is challenged throughout, but they do prevail 21-20. Georgia and Clemson. I've gone back and forth with this ball game. It wouldn't shock me if either team wins. When you look at Clemson, I think they will challenge the Georgia secondary. Taj Boyd, Sammy Watkins, they have the ability to get over the top of the Georgia defense. Georgia's defense as a whole, losing 8 starters from last year. In my estimation, the biggest loss is John Jenkins at the nose tackle position. He created double teams, which allowed Alec Ogletree and Jarvis Jones to roam free and make plays. That defensive line, very young. They're big, but they're going to have to step up right away. When I look at this ball game, though, Aaron Murray, Taj Boyd, very good quarterbacks. I like the running back situation for Georgia. I think they pick up a very, very hard-fought game. They could be down early in this game. I think they weather the storm. I like Todd Gurley. I like Keith Marshall. And I like that experienced offensive line for the Bulldogs. When you get into these big games, you need a running game, and I think Georgia does have the better running game entering this ball game. Roderick McDowell, 5.4 yards per carry, but better running backs with Keith Marshall and Todd Gurley and a better experienced offensive line in Georgia. I'll take my chances. I think Georgia picks up a 28-21 hard-fought road victory, and they gut it out for Mark Richt and company. 28-21, Georgia prevails. One more SEC team, Oklahoma State, Mississippi State. Oklahoma State today, one of their tackles is out for this ball game. That's going to be a key question mark for the offensive line heading into this ball game. When you look at Oak State, they lose Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator from last season. He's the head coach now at Southern Miss. Defensive coordinator this year is Glenn Spencer. He had co-coordinator duties. Now he steps up. When you look at the defense for Oklahoma State, surrendered 141 yards rushing as a whole per game last season. On the road or on a neutral site, though, that number went up to 189 rushing yards per game. When you look at Mississippi State, they lose their top 4 wide receivers. That's going to hurt them. Chad Bumpus was the leader of that group. He's gone. But when you look at the quarterback, Tyler Russell, when you look at the running back, Ladarius Perkins, very tough inside runner. They have a very big offensive line. Dan Mullen and company is another blue-collar team that's going to just try and run it down your throat. I like the team with the better running game. I like Mississippi State to establish themselves early in this ball game. They pick up the outright victory, though. I think Mississippi State wins 30-24 over Oklahoma State. Syracuse over Penn State. When you look at this ball game, I think Syracuse is a better quarterback situation entering this ball game. Drew Allen, the former Oklahoma transfer. Terrell Hunt, he's sophomore. He goes 6'3", 215, but he has a live arm. Drew Allen, 6'4", 240, has good legs and has experience being the senior. On the opposite side of the ball, Penn State, Christian Hackenberg. He's a 5-star recruit, but he's a freshman. Tyler Ferguson's a JUCO, no experience. Whoever starts on the road, basically a neutral site in Giant Stadium, is going to be asking a lot. When you look at Penn State, they lost 32 lettermen from last year. Very inexperienced Penn State is on the defensive line. They have 2 sophomores and a redshirt freshman on the defensive line. When you look at their 3 losses last year, Nebraska, Ohio State, and Ohio, they gave up a ton of rushing yards. I think that's a key factor heading into this ball game. Kicking situation for Syracuse. Ross Krautman, all Big East selection last year, 18 and 19 field goals. Sam Ficken for Penn State, he only attempted 2 field goals. Giant Stadium, very tough place to kick. Jay Bromley, the defensive tackle, and John Raymond, the defensive tackle for the Syracuse Orange, 290, 319. I like the linebackers of Syracuse. I think they could pick up a 27-10 victory over Penn State. Washington playing Boise State, rematch of the Las Vegas Bowl. I like Washington's quarterback, Keith Price. More importantly, Washington opens up a brand new stadium with head coach Steve Sarkisian. I think the crowd will be into it. Very, very difficult place to play in the Husky Stadium. The place is going to be jumping. I like the offensive line led by those 2 tackles. They were sophomores last year, Ben Riva and Hatchie. Now they're juniors. They're a strength. The tight end, Safarian Jenkins, he had a big game last year in the Las Vegas Bowl. He broke his finger. I don't think it matters. I like Keith Price at the quarterback position, and I like the defense of Washington. More importantly, though, when you look at Boise State and Joe Southwick, pedestrian, 20 touchdowns, 7 INTs. In my estimation, he really didn't step up and win a ball game. They lose running back DJ Harper. I think Boise State could be a little overrated. I like Washington to have a big season this year. I think they pick up a dominating 30-17 home victory. NC State, Louisiana Tech. NC State has former Northern Illinois head coach Dave Dorian. He's a solid, disciplined type of coach. On the other side of the ball, Louisiana Tech has former USF head coach Skip Holtz. Skip Holtz took over USF a couple of years ago. He had B.J. Daniels. He had a very high-octane offense. He ran that offense into the ground. Now he's taken over an offense that averaged in 2012 51.5 points per game. I think this is asking too much for Skip Holtz. He's going to pull back the reins on this type of offense. He favors a run-first type of approach. I think Louisiana Tech is better if they play a wide-open style. Skip Holtz not used to playing that. Dave Dorian, very disciplined, blue-collar coach. I like my chances with NC State. NC State 20-5 over the last 25 games in home openers. ACC versus Louisiana Tech. I like the talent at NC State. I like the quarterback, Thomas. I think they have the ability, and I think Dorian will get the most out of that team. I'm looking for a 37-20 NC State home victory. Dorian picks it up first. Stay with me all season long at GoForThe2.com and NCAABlitz.com. And this Friday, do not forget, this Friday, my weekly blog radio show, blogtalkradio.com, the NCAA Weekly Blitz Show. Former Georgia Bulldog wide receiver Corey Allen joins me this Friday, August 30th at 2:30 p.m. Stay with me all season long. I can't wait. It's going to be a great year.